Howdy, it's Jim Morado, hanging out in Maysville, Kentucky. This is December 19th, 2020. We took a Saturday and just drove up to Maysville, which is a nice drive in its own right, especially if you're coming from the Lexington area. Just a nice, pleasant drive. You're gonna pass through Paris, which is another city that's growing on me a whole lot the more I'm there. But yeah, we're in Maysville. We came up mostly to go to the Kentucky Gateway Museum Center. They've got their unbelievable dollhouse exhibit. If you've not seen that, what's wrong with you? Get up there and see that. It's in a class of its own. I would assume it's one of the top dollhouse museums in the country, probably the world, and it's just something really special. The museum itself is really nice too, and it's never crowded when I've been there. So we like that a lot, and we just thought we'd come up and look at this. It's just a gorgeous town. Lots of old historic churches, nice buildings, architecture, lots of interesting businesses. They've got it decorated up a little bit for Christmas, and it's just a great town. We're just gonna drive around in it for a bit. It's a town I've been to a few times. There's several businesses here I want to try to visit at some point, but I haven't had a chance to. And of course, with COVID and all that great stuff going on right now, things are a little more limited in general. But we've been here, we've been here a few times, and there's a couple restaurants I like a lot. There's this great historic theater up on the right that I'd sure like to get into at some point. And there's a dollhouse version of the facade of that theater over at the museum I mentioned. They've also got a little miniature kind of partial interior dollhouse scale made up, which is really neat too. And this is just a fun area to drive through with a ton, a crazy ton of history, and we like it a lot. Just kind of scrolling through Wikipedia, which actually has a nice page about Maysville. Kind of gives you the basics of what you need to know. Looks like it's in Mason County, population of right over 9,000. It's the 40th largest city in Kentucky. It's on the Ohio River, 66 miles northeast of Lexington. There's two bridges that go across the Ohio from Maysville into Aberdeen, Ohio. There's the Simon Kenton Memorial Bridge, built in 1931, and the William H. Harsha Bridge, built in 2001. We'll go over both of those here towards the end of that. So it says Maysville is historically important in Kentucky's settlement. Frontiersmen Simon Kenton and Daniel Boone are among the city's founders, which is just cool. And lots of stuff going on with hemp production, bourbon, and tobacco, the hemp and the tobacco, it notes, were mainly produced by African American slaves before the Civil War. It was once a center of wrought iron manufacture, sending ironworks downriver to decorate the buildings of Cincinnati and New Orleans. Let's see what else they got here. Oh yeah, Maysville was an important stop on the Underground Railroad, as the Free State of Ohio was just across the river. Abolitionist author Harriet Beecher Stowe visited the area in 1833 and watched a slave auction in front of the courthouse in Washington. Washington's kind of a little historic area, basically within Maysville. The original seat of the county and now a historic district of Maysville. She included the scene in her influential novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, published in 1852. So yeah, there's some interesting stuff, some Indian connections, a couple other things I wanted to mention. Yeah, it mentions the bridge. We'll get to the bridge in a little bit. There's also some murals down by the river, which are lovely. We'll see a couple of them as we drive around. In the summer of 1998, a series of historical murals was begun on the downtown flood wall. Over the next 10 years, Robert Dafford and his team painted 10 murals exploring the history of Maysville on various sections of the flood wall. You can find a list of what those murals are on Wikipedia. And just a huge tip of my hat to Wikipedia, which I've been using a lot lately. Generally, you can kind of look over it and tell if there's bunk information, but I think their editors keep it pretty tight most of the time. And I go to Wikipedia quite a bit.
They must have gates they close. And then this is the Amtrak station for this area.
Yeah, and we're down kind of by that flood wall right now, just sort of driving around. Oh yeah, we drove. We just drove by a really nice restaurant,
Nice river view.
Caproni's on the River, and we actually had dinner there on our last visit. That's a nice place, and you can see trains and boats go by there. I mentioned it on my blog, KentuckyTravels.blogspot.com, but it's just a nice little place, and I love you've got this very hilly area right here by the river, just really nice, and I like that a lot. I wanted to mention too, let me get back to the Wikipedia page just because there was some more interesting information. It has a little entry on the Russell Theater, which we passed by earlier. The Russell Theater was the site of the world premiere of Rosemary Clooney's first film, The Stars Are Singing, in 1953. Rosemary Clooney is from that area. The Russell Theater is an atmospheric theater and features a large rainbow that would light up before and after the showing of each movie. The theater is now undergoing the second phase of a restoration project began in 2008. Organizers plan to revive the Russell as a movie and film venue with emphasis on themed movie marathons, classics, documentaries, art films, and other movies not available at mainstream cinemas. And now we're about to go over the William H. Harsha Bridge, a cable bridge carrying U.S. Route 62 and U.S. Route 68 that connects Maysville, Kentucky, and Aberdeen, Ohio, over the Ohio River. Named after William Harsha, U.S. Representative. Construction on the bridge started in 1997 and it opened in 2000. The bridge has a main span of 1,050 feet and a total span of 2,100 feet. That's obviously a newer bridge in the area. It looks new. It's a very nice, pleasant bridge with lots of room, as opposed to its sibling bridge that we'll be going over here in a little bit. And there's the Welcome to Ohio sign. And I lived in northern Ohio for about 10 years myself. I lived in Cleveland, taking a decade break from Kentucky and going up north. And I will not comment on that during this video. That's a story for another day. Had a good time up there. I love Ohio. Certain parts of Ohio I love a lot. Sugar Creek, Ohio, one of my favorite spots on the planet. And I had a good relationship with Cleveland too. So now we're in Aberdeen, Ohio, just driving around. Yeah, and Aberdeen is just a small town. Looking at Wikipedia again, population 1,638. Founded by James Edwards in 1795 and platted by Nathan Ellis in 1816. It was part of Zane's Trace, a frontier road through Northwest Territory completed in 1797. And as I scroll through Wikipedia, it looks like most of its notableness is connected to Maysville. And we are going back over into Kentucky now on the Simon Kenton Memorial Bridge. a suspension bridge built in 1931 and originally opened with a toll. The tolls were removed in 1945, and they had a celebration and a parade. Crosses the Ohio River. Its main span is 323 meters, 1,060 feet, and a total length of 1,991 feet. It's currently in use and is not slated for demolition, as the bridge was closed for refurbishment in 2001, going along with the Harsha Bridge. And it opened to traffic at 10:30 a.m. November 25th, 1931. So there's the story on both of those bridges. And this bridge, as you can tell, is a little more tight than the other bridge. Not quite as much room on it. There's a big sidewalk there for walking. And I'm always thinking, man, it'd be fun to kind of walk on that bridge and just cross over for the heck of it, for bragging rights. But there's just not a lot of room there on that bridge. I'm not sure if I'd want to walk on that sidewalk path or not. That's just me, though. And driving back through Maysville. Yeah, we stopped in Paris on the way up, and we stopped at the French Lick Battlefield State Park on the way down. Both areas I'd like to explore a little more. Paris is a town I mentioned before. It's really starting to grow on me. And going past that theater again. Oh, and I wanted to mention down by the restaurant, by the river and the floodgates and all that, there is an Amtrak station we passed by, and it provides service to Maysville. Yeah, so that's kind of cool that they've got an Amtrak station. I've never done Amtrak, but I definitely plan on doing that sometime. Under notable people, several political names. Especially a lot of people involved in the Civil War and slavery. Also, it mentions Nick Clooney and Rosemary Clooney, John Collins, Roman Catholic bishop, Civil War soldier John Darrow, who was also a Medal of Honor recipient, Alexander Donovan, general and attorney known for saving the life of Joseph Smith. Who else? There was a couple. Oh, Albert Sidney Johnston, a Confederate general. Kind of a big deal. He was killed, I believe, at Shiloh. Some college sports names. NASCAR winner Nelson Stacy. Yeah, so quite a bit of interesting names and a lot of diversity coming from this area. I do love this downtown. I mean, you just kind of drive around. There's lots of pretty buildings, lots of attractive old buildings, and some interesting businesses. I actually walked through here a little bit, and there's just some interesting looking little shops and stuff. And again, these little buildings are just so perfect. Lots of old business labels painted on the buildings, as you can see towards the left. And and I mentioned the churches, lots of really, really nice, solid, old-looking churches. And this building right up here on the left, I just think is spectacular, as I turn the camera away from it. I noticed a lot of historic markers through town, too. Lots of buildings and buildings of note. I love these little row of houses on the left. Love this church on the right. I couldn't make up my mind about which one to stay focused on. I know on a previous trip, we actually spent most of our day on this particular day at the museum that I mentioned. And I'm going to put up some other videos, if I haven't already, from the museum. We just spent a ton of time there. That's an old school or something right there on the left that you can tell has been let go. And you look at that and go, man, they could do so much with that. Every town has buildings like that, though. I hope that large building is salvageable and repurposed. This area, too, has just this interesting kind of up-down, curvy, hilly roads. Yeah, here's on the left. This looks like an old Not sure exactly what was going on there. There is a historic mark. And look at that. Just a nice view of the town from up on a hill. Yeah, there's the Ohio River and kind of the downtown area, part of the flood walls down there. Another historic marker right behind me that I didn't even notice.